The family visit was expected to be ordinary, but the father immediately sensed something amiss. "Daughter, why did you arrive by taxi? Where's the Mercedes? What did we buy you for your anniversary?" he asked, concerned. Her husband, with evident pride, responded, "Oh, that's my mom's car now." Silence descended. The father paused for a moment, then his reaction was utterly unexpected. "Welcome, dear listeners. I'm delighted to greet you on my channel. I present to you a new and intriguing story. Enjoy listening." Elena knew this evening would be anything but simple. She simply felt the absence of the ease with which she had previously visited her parents for family dinners. That feeling was gone. She stood by the entrance of her parents' 5-story building, paying the taxi driver, and saw her father peer out the third-floor window. He spotted her, and his face contorted in surprise. By the time she reached the apartment, the door was wide open. Her father stood on the threshold, wiping his hands with a kitchen towel, apparently having helped her mother with cooking. "What did we buy?" he inquired, scrutinizing her face. Elena hesitated, but then Maxime burst from behind her. Her husband always had a knack for appearing at the most inconvenient moments, as if he could sense when to showcase his peculiar logic. "Oh, that's my mom's car now," he announced cheerfully, not even noticing how Elena's father straightened up abruptly. She'd wanted a good car for so long, and Lena and I thought, why not give her a gift? Right, Lena? Elena remained silent. Maxime continued to smile, clearly expecting approval. Her father stood motionless. His gaze slowly shifted from his son-in-law to his daughter, then back. Her mother peeked out from the kitchen, drying her hands with an apron, and froze, sensing the tension. "Come in," her father finally said. "Dinner is almost ready." It all began 3 months ago on Elena's 30th birthday. Her parents presented her with a silver Mercedes, not new, but in excellent condition, only 5 years old. Her father had saved for a long time, even selling his old Niva to add funds. Her mother had foregone a long-planned kitchen renovation. They wanted their daughter to drive a proper car, not Maxime's well-worn Lada, which constantly demanded repairs. Elena had wept with joy then, hugged her parents, and thanked them. Maxime had also rejoiced, patting his father-in-law on the shoulder and saying it was an incredible gift and that they truly appreciated such thoughtfulness. For the first 2 weeks, Elena enjoyed her new car. She drove to her job as a credit specialist at the bank every day, transported groceries from the supermarket, and even took a trip out of town with a friend. Maxime occasionally asked to borrow the keys, citing errands. Elena didn't object. After all, they were family. Then, the oddities began. First, Maxime started hinting that his mother, Irida Sergeevna, found it inconvenient to take the bus, that her legs were bad, that she got tired. He suggested it would be wonderful if Elena could occasionally give her mother-in-law rides to the clinic or the market. Elena gave her rides once, twice, a third time. Irida Sergeevna would settle into the passenger seat, survey the interior with a critical eye, and begin lamenting how her neighbor Lyutka's son had bought her a car. She'd sigh, worked herself to the bone her whole life in 2 jobs, and now she has to beg for a ride. "I don't mind," Elena would say. "It's just that I have work, and I can't always adjust my schedule." Of course. Irida Sergeevna would nod. "She has her job, but my son's mother has to jostle on the bus." Maxime listened to these conversations in silence. In the evenings, he'd tell Elena, "Is it really that difficult for you to give my mom a ride sometimes? She's not young anymore." Irida Sergeevna was only not young in word. In reality, she was 58. She worked as a saleswoman in a grocery store, darted around like a whirlwind, and still found time to visit friends, play cards, and have arguments with neighbors over parking spots. One day, Elena came home from work to find the car missing from its usual spot. She called Maxime. He said his mother had asked him to drive her to see relatives in the Moscow region, and he had lent her the keys. "Lent them?" Elena exclaimed, indignant. "Maxime, that's my car. My parents gave it to me." "So what? We're family," he replied, surprised. "Or are you being stingy?" The word stingy entered their vocabulary. Every time Elena tried to object, Maxim accused her of greed, selfishness, and an inability to think of her loved ones. Iraida Sergeyevna returned late that evening, tossed the keys on the table, and remarked, "Nice little car, smooth ride. I haven't driven one like this in a while." Elena gritted her teeth and remained silent. Then it became a regular occurrence. Maxim started taking the keys himself in the mornings before Elena woke up. She would leave the house and discover the car was gone. She'd call her husband. He'd reply that his mother had asked him to drive her to work or to the clinic or somewhere else. "I was planning to drive to work myself today, not take the metro," Elena would say. "Well, then take the metro." Maxim would shrug. "What's the difference? Mom has a harder time than you." One day, Elena attempted to speak with Iraida Sergeyevna directly. She visited her in the evening when Maxim wasn't home. "You see," she began cautiously, "I'm very happy to help, but the car is mine. My parents gifted it to me. Perhaps you could give me advance notice when you need it." Iraida Sergeyevna looked at her as if Elena had suggested something unthinkable. "What? Are you begrudging your husband's mother?" Her voice turned cold. "I raised Maxim alone my entire life. His father left when he was 3. I gave him everything. Everything. And now you come here and set rules?" "I'm not setting rules," Elena tried to protest. "You're just selfish, that's all." Iraida Sergeyevna cut her off. "I knew it. Modern girls only think of themselves." Elena left, slamming the door. A scandal erupted at home. Maxim shouted that she had insulted his mother, that he wouldn't allow her to be treated that way, and that if Elena didn't learn to respect her elders, he would reconsider their relationship. Reconsider their relationship. Elena couldn't believe her ears. Over a car. "Not over the car, over your attitude," he insisted. They didn't speak for 3 days. Then Maxim came, hugged her, and said he understood. His mother was just worried that she was genuinely tired. "Let's just let her use the car for a while," he proposed. "Maybe a month, maybe 2, and then we'll go back to how it was." Elena agreed because she loved him, didn't want arguments, and believed that a month or 2 wasn't forever. 1 month turned into 2, 2 into 3. Iraida Sergeyevna began to treat the car as her own. She even got a duplicate set of keys. One day, Elena discovered that the glove compartment contained insurance with a notation. "Permitted driver, Iraida Sergeyevna." Maxim explained it was for convenience. "Mom drives a lot, just in case." "Maxim, do you even understand what's happening?" Elena asked. "Oh, come on," he waved his hand dismissively. "What difference does it make who's on the insurance?" Elena realized arguing was futile. She called her parents, wanting to complain but couldn't. She imagined how upset her father would be, how her mother would worry. They had tried so hard, wanted so much to please her. And now, to say that their gift had been appropriated by her mother-in-law. She simply said everything was fine, the car was wonderful, and she was very pleased. Yet her father sensed something. He started calling more often, asking how she was, if she needed help. Elena answered evasively, trying to change the subject. And so today, when her parents invited them for dinner, Maxim had gone to his mother's that morning. Elena waited until the last minute, hoping he might return and give her a ride. But he didn't. He texted her on the messenger. "Mom asked me to go to IKEA with her to buy a new sofa. I'll be back late. You go to your parents. I'll join you later." Elena hailed a taxi, and as she rode, she thought about how she couldn't live like this anymore. The dinner was tense. Her mother had set the table with her signature dishes, which Elena had loved since childhood, but she didn't feel like eating. Maxim chattered about how wonderfully he and his mother had gone shopping and what a great sofa they had chosen. "We got it on sale! Can you imagine? 40% off!" He rejoiced. Her father remained silent, cutting his meat slowly and thoughtfully. Her mother tried to keep the conversation going, but it felt strained. Finally, her father put down his fork and looked at Maxim. "Listen, son-in-law," he said calmly. "Explain this to me as a person with a technical education. We bought a car for our daughter, a gift for her anniversary, correct? Well, yes. Maxim nodded, not understanding his father-in-law's drift. And whose car is it now? Well, Lena's. Maxim fidgeted in his chair. Exactly, Lena's. Well, yes. So, in a way, it's a family car? No. Her father raised his hand. Not a family car. We gave it to our daughter personally because she is our child, and we wanted her to drive a proper car. And now you're telling me the car belongs to your mother. Am I understanding this correctly? Maxim turned pale. But you don't mind Iraida Sergeyevna using it too, do you? She's not young. I am 58. Maxim is 32, her father continued, his voice even. If I'm counting correctly, is his mother my age? I take the bus to work every day and I don't complain. So let's dispense with this nonsense about age. Dad, please don't, Elena said quietly. But her father couldn't stop. He stood up from the table, walked to the hallway, and returned with the car's documents. Here, look. He placed the papers in front of Maxim. The owner is Elena. Not you, not your mother. Elena. Therefore, the decision about who uses the car and when is hers. And if someone else is constantly taking the car without her consent, then it's not a family matter. It's appropriation of someone else's property. Maxim jumped up. Are you threatening me? I'm explaining to you how it looks from the outside. Her father sat back down, folding his arms across his chest. You're a grown man. You should understand. Or does your mommy know better how we should live in our family? Her mother quietly sobbed. Elena sat motionless, unsure what to do. Lena, get ready, her father said. We're going to get your car. Where? Maxim exclaimed. To your mother's. Where's the car? Under her window. Let's go, Lena. Mom, you're coming with us too. The three of them went downstairs. Her father called a taxi. They rode in silence. Maxim stayed home, shouting something after them, but her father didn't even look back. Iraida Sergeyevna opened the door in a bathrobe with curlers in her hair. She saw Elena with her parents and tensed. What do you want? She asked, displeased. The car keys, her father said. What keys? I don't understand what you're talking about. From the Mercedes, which you've been using for the past 3 months. Keys? This is my son's car now, Iraida Sergeyevna exclaimed. No, her father said, taking the documents from his pocket. This is my daughter's car. Here are the documents. See the owner? Not your son, not you, Elena. So keys on the table and quickly. Iraida Sergeyevna tried to slam the door, but her father wedged his foot in. Do you know what the penalty is for appropriating someone else's property? He asked quietly. Let's not involve the police. The keys now. Her mother-in-law darted into the apartment, returned with the keys, and threw them at Elena's face. Elena barely managed to catch them. You think Maxim will forgive you for this? Iraida Sergeyevna shrieked. He'll leave you, you'll see. Well, let him, her father said calmly. Then he means more to you than we do. Come on, Lena. They went downstairs. The car was parked by the entrance, dirty, with a dent on the rear bumper. Elena got behind the wheel, started the engine. Her hands trembled. Thank you, Dad, she whispered. Let's go home, her father said. To our place. You'll stay overnight, calm down, and tomorrow you can decide what to do next. Elena nodded. They drove, she in front, her parents behind in a taxi. On the way, she cried, not from grief, but from relief. For the first time in 3 months, she felt like she could breathe. At her parents' home, she had tea, took a shower, and lay down on her old childhood bed. Her phone exploded with calls from Maxim. She didn't answer. The next morning, she returned to the apartment they rented with Maxim. He wasn't there, only a note on the table. You betrayed me and my mother. I'm leaving to be with her. We'll divide our property through court. They had no property, only furniture from IKEA and old appliances. Elena packed her things and called her parents. Her father helped her move everything to their place. You'll live with us until you find a decent place, he said. Elena nodded. She was 30 years old and returning to her parents' home. Her marriage was falling apart, but somehow it didn't feel like the end of the world, more like the beginning of something new. Maxime called for another week, demanding the car back, accusing her of cruelty, then disappeared. A month later, she learned from mutual acquaintances that he had moved in with his mother, and they were now living together in her one-room apartment. Iraida Sergeevna gave him no slack, made him pay all the bills, buy her new clothes, and drive her to the market in his old Lada. Elena filed for divorce. Maxime didn't show up for the hearing, sending a lawyer instead, who stated that his client agreed to the divorce but demanded compensation for moral damages. The judge looked at him over her glasses and refused. 6 months later, Elena rented a small apartment near her parents, worked, drove her Mercedes, and met with friends. Iraida Sergeevna once tried to corner her near the entrance, beginning to lament that Maxime had fallen on hard times, that he had abandoned his old mother, that it was all Elena's fault. "Then he didn't love you that much," Elena replied, and drove away without looking back. One winter evening, she was giving her father a ride from the metro. He sat beside her, looking out the window, and suddenly said, "You know, back then I thought about how to help you." There were two options: either talk to Maxime calmly or act decisively. I chose the latter because I realized that talking calmly doesn't work with people like that. Elena smiled. "You did the right thing, Dad. I just didn't want my daughter to spend her whole life bending to other people's will. You grew up to live your own life, not to serve someone's mother." They stopped at a traffic light. An old Lada pulled up beside them. Maxime was driving. He saw Elena. Their eyes met. He looked tired, aged. Elena nodded at him and drove on when the light turned green.